So, of course, this week long, I'm just going to present some of the guiding themes, so overarching themes which we should always bear in mind. So whatever we're doing, we don't just get lost in the particular refined points of the system or the technique we're using. We also see its bigger picture. And this is a remarkable features of the Buddha Dharma. You take any detail and expand it. It fits into the whole picture, doesn't conflict with it. So it's got a telescopic quality to it. It also has an innately progressive quality to it, opanayiko. It's pertinent, it leads. You enter into Dhamma, certain skillful states arise, and they create a certain momentum, if you like. This is a very significant feature to bear in mind, because a lot of the time we can feel we've got to do this, we've got to do that, and it's like pushing. But actually, the process is more likened to how rain, when it lands on a hillside, the drops come trickling down and form a gully, form a stream fills a lake, the lake fills a river, the river fills the sea. So it's this same process is gradually being collected. And the skillful dhammas are being collected. When they're collected, they have their own momentum, just as a river does. You don't have to push a river, but you do need to keep the skillful rain falling, the skillful state. So we might say, another very simple summary is that the practice about the cultivation or bhavana, bringing into being skillful dhammas. What are skillful dhammas? Skillful dhammas are those which, as you cultivate them, they grow and swell to give fulfilling results. What are these fulfilling results? The clearing of greed, hatred, delusion, sorrow, distress, agitation, worry, and so forth. And in this process of clearing, it's not just an editing out, it's removal of certain blockages which prevent the citta from fully opening and expanding into something unconstricted. Yeah. So it's not an eradication program in an ultimate sense, it's eradication of hindrances, cessation of that which restricts us. When restrictions are eased, the heart naturally expands into something boundless and not grasped at beyond all ways of grasping or conceiving or holding it. So it lifts us. And this is the nature of these skillful dhammas. We look into the sequences. You see one sequence for enlightenment factors begins with mindfulness. Mindfulness, as it's established, cultivates or brings into mind exploration. Now you've got a foundation you can begin to inquire into. That gives rise to energy. One is enthusiastic, one is inspired, one is getting a sense of eagerness. This gives rise to rapture, one is uplifted. And then the process kind of changes from that which is one is kind of putting energy into, that which energy is accumulated, and it leads on to calm and collectedness and equanimity. So rapture and the uplifting is a turning point between kind of what we might conceive ourselves as pulling in and to what swells up as a result. It's rather likened to the way a large bird would first of all flap its wings to get in the air, and then when it's in the air, the wings widen and spread, and the bird just floats and circles wherever it wants to go. And this is a kind of a simile that's used to signify or give an image of the process. And so a lot of the time we're really looking at how can we unbind. Yeah. And the sequence is withdrawal, viveka, dispassion, cessation, relinquishment. Right? First of all, we withdraw from contact which is not profitable, withdraw from unskillful states, withdraw from states that constrict and bind and weigh you down, withdraw from their pressure, withdraw from the topics, collect the energy, become more calm, dispassionate. So the heart isn't stirred, then it can move through worries and concerns and regret and irritation. But just to mention, overarching features today, if we look at that process of how is this entered into, and in the Great 40, teachings on the Great 40 in the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha says that you have this right collectedness, samadhi, with its supports, and this gives rise to right samadhi, or full, or completed, samma, completed, fulfilled, gives rise to right knowledge, right release. And release and knowledge of release. And how is this samadhi cultivated? Right view. 3 factors circle around it now: right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. It is like a circling process. It means one starts, and as one starts, that foundational quality is kept in mind, and the mind begins to move around that, in line with that. And it says here, right view comes first, and one must make an effort to establish right view. So, right view, but it's an effort to establish it. And what is that effort to establish it? We have a whole stream of thoughts and concerns and whatever, moods and topics flowing on through in our experience. And step out of that and notice, review, which of these goes somewhere useful, profitable, fulfilling. Maybe none. At least that's a good view. It may be a somewhat sobering recognition, but the awakening, this is right view. So these are factors you don't want to follow. And then, okay, so then what do we follow? Then the Buddha says, well, you recollect the Tathagata, the Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha. You recollect there are those who are wise, there are good deeds, we've all done some good, we've all inherited some good. We've all received generosity, kindness, support somewhere in our lives. We've all done that somewhere in our lives. This stress is what tends to come to the forefront because we're very sensitive to that. But we have participated in skillfulness. And you just keep bringing your attention back to that. Topics, but also what is it that inclines to the good? Why does one do an act? Why does one do an act of kindness or service or generosity or honesty? Because it feels right, and you think it's no big deal. But right view says it is a big deal. It's not just, oh well, everybody does that. No, how come our mistakes can be seen as big issues, but our virtues aren't? This is definitely wrong view. Why is it that terrible things have been done to us, or we've received enormous topics, where rather benevolent qualities we tend to, oh yeah, this is wrong view, very skewed. So we're encouraged to recollect. We recollect precepts. We recollect, what we've refrained from killing, stealing, abusing. We've cultivated sharing. And how did that feel? And the recognition that the right view, we're never separate. We can't experience ourselves as separate from action. That which we've done and that which we've done do it to us. Whether that's even a thought, let alone a speech or action, physical action, even an inclination of the heart, forms and measures us. So I say, well then put aside depression, put aside doubt, put aside feeling of inadequacy, put aside measuring yourself in these ways, because they will definitely have results. Instead, recollect, today, now, I determine harmlessness. No creature need fear me. I live with a heart inclined for the welfare of other beings. Whether I can do anything or not, I don't know. But that's where I'm coming from. It's right view. So even if you're just thinking, what do you have to do today? We might have to do very much. You might have to do a bit of repairing this, fixing that, sweeping that, cleaning that. And sometimes there's quite a lot to do. What have you got to do today? And when you think of that, you get the experience of pressure. What's the most important thing? I've got to get this done, figure that out, make sure that works, get there on time. What's the most important thing? Well, I've got to make sure I don't let somebody else down, make sure it works. No, wait a minute. What's the most important thing? The most important thing is where you're coming from. If you're coming from a place that's associated with stress and pressure and anxiety, that's the wrong view. Well, the most important thing is that your heart feels full and willing and steady and clear. If it's not steady and clear, everything you do will be a source of suffering and stress. It's that obvious, and yet it's obvious, but we miss it. Because we always move one step away from the immediacy of the heart into what I'm going to be doing. The most important thing is to get back behind the doing to the doer. How are you? Where are you coming from? You might think, yeah, I do wish for other people's welfare, but I can't do anything. No, whether you can do anything about it or not is second. First thing is dwell in the wish and the interest and the happiness of feeling kind and concerned and, that has its own momentum. This is called anusati, recollection. Sati, mindful, Anusati, mindful in the presence of. And the presence here is mindfulness in the presence of clear thought, clear direction. And it picks that up. Oh yes, of course. So damned obvious. If I'm just getting frazzled and agitated and thinking I'm going to be doing somebody else a favour in that state, this is not Buddha Dhamma. And when we review some of that to-do list, suddenly, oh yeah, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and get that done, and then by May, and in June, we've got to make sure. No, just take it. I wish for the welfare, I really do. And we'll see what's possible in terms of causes and conditions. They may not work, they may not come together. I will not let my faith and heart be lost in the confusion of conditions. In other words, whether the conditions come together or not. Then you're finding a refuge which neither denies the existence of responsibilities and actions, nor does it become entangled in them. And we found the first foundation of the path, the Eightfold Path. So this right view, it takes an effort. And we use a word like effort, it can sound like a strain, but it just means a decisive, wait a minute, put your foot right there, not there. No, just a little bit there, not there. It's like the effort to stand on your feet. It takes effort. It takes effort to find balance. Once you've found balance, then energy collects around that theme because it is balanced. It's sane. It's obvious. And the pressure disappears. It's as simple as standing on your own feet. When you really get it, the pressure disappears. You're not holding yourself in your belly or your head. Your feet carry your weight. Contemplate it when you do standing meditation. Now, it takes an effort, but we're looking at effort is not like heaving a boulder up a hill. It's that shift. And then do it again. And then sustain it. Sustain it. Yeah. Till it becomes strong. The right view is a foundation for mindfulness. So one of the teachings the Buddha gave, he said, when I was still unenlightened, my mind was scrambled, running all over the place. And I started to review all this. I thought, wait a minute, I've got to get one-pointed. What really am I about? Now, one-pointed, ekagata. This can be sensed as focusing on a particular physical point, but actually, in the context, it seems to mean one has a sense of purpose. And it is looking at all the things in my life, concerns, worry, family, one-pointed, I've got to get some clarity. Otherwise, I'm lost. Okay? That's one-pointed. And when you hear that, you think, oh yes, of course. It's obvious. It's not some technique, it's obvious. It's like, wake up. Get your clarity, get your steadiness. That's one-pointed. One-pointedness of heart. Ekakasa citta. Which is a synonym for samadhi. One has one purpose, one aim, one theme, one is resolved. And he says, once I've established that, then I picked up mindfulness. And my mindfulness was tireless. I was determined. So you see in a nutshell again, right view, right effort, right mindfulness supports further effort. So this process turns and spins like a screw driving in. Or like a river spiraling out through rock. How does right effort support right mindfulness? Because it's mindfulness is to do with the nature of citta. You see, citta is both it's deeply receptive sense. It receives everything. That's why I often call it heart. It's not. It's just an approximation. Receptive sense. It's sensitive. It's affected by suffering and affected by non-suffering. It's affected by joy and aversion. It's affected. And it acts. It responds. It drives. It flurries. It scatters. It determines. It gets excited and it gets steadied. It's got a lot of volition in it, volitional potential. So this is a twofold process. Receptive, in which it can be just extremely serene to a state of pure, unflustered awareness. It can be receptive with a sense of sympathy and goodwill and inquiry, how is this, how is that. It can also determine. So it's got a firmness to it. Once we engage right view, once you begin to cultivate right view, it means automatically you think, how is this? How is that? You're beginning to both firm up, take a perspective on your thoughts and impulses and intentions, memories and so forth, attitudes, habits, some of them very compulsive. And then how does it feel? Stressful, non-stressful, muddled. Some strength there, some flickering. So that's the receptive sense. And these two together are called mindfulness. Okay, so one is establishing a frame of reference, and then you're receiving what's coming in. That's called mindfulness. Establish a reference point. What's happening in your heart? Your heart is this kind of worried or flurried or steady or eager, and then you receive it. How is this? And through that, you're able to then, what's called Dhammavicaya, discriminate or explore. This one is good but needs some strengthening. This one has not ripened yet. This one is powerful but is going nowhere useful. And through this you give more attention then to the skillful ones, withdraw attention from the unskillful ones, withdraw energy from the unskillful ones, and bring energy and attention onto the skillful ones. That's effort. Now it shouldn't be a strain any more than, when you're chewing your food, you know whether something's too hard for your teeth and you don't want to crack your teeth, or whether something needs to be chewed some more till it becomes softer. Whether you're drinking something that's too hot, you need to let it cool. It's kind of fairly, built in. We are sensitive creatures. We know how much effort is required to lift a pen and how much is required to lift a brick. You don't have to figure it out. Body does it by itself. And then it adjusts. So this is the thing you give attention to. And this takes effort because, of course, things grab our attention. We didn't decide to give attention, something jumps on me and grabs my attention. That's the way it feels. Because, our chitta is in an ongoing process, and it's receiving the results of what it's been doing and involved in previously. So you get feedback loops. So what's been involved with for the last year, 5 years, 10 years, or something that's been involved with for 20 years, or it's still rolling on. So you receive the results of that. Some good, some not so good, some okay but not relevant anymore. So you're receiving all this stuff, and it comes tumbling in. When you're not having new input, particularly, the old stuff comes tumbling in, and actually it's just, it grabs my attention. The effort is then, okay, maybe I need to address it, but I can't address it if I'm tangled up in it. I can't give this proper attention if my mind is constantly stressed and anxious. I have to withdraw from that to like a sense of dispassion, just as if you're, looking at an oil painting and you step back in order to see it better. You don't go run up close to it, you step back and how does this feel? Notice it arises and comes in waves. Waves of mood and feeling come up. Keep reviewing the wave rather than the topic. And then, so you're already softened the amount of impact that's coming in. And then what's really needed here, maybe right there you need patience or compassion or relinquishment. Just let go of it. Relinquish. Yeah. It's past. Everybody gets this. It's not something that's particularly you. It's just this. Don't give it emotional impact. Don't give it emotional flavouring. Give attention to that quality that can do that. And once one has established mindfulness, these qualities will begin to be apparent because the nature of that which affects as it comes in surges and waves. You just wait for that wave to decline, you notice, there's the fading, the viraga. And strengthen your attention to the endings of phenomena. Fades. The more you give attention there, the fading away becomes more apparent. Your mind can go quite quiet. This is not an aversion tactic or justification. That's what the nature of things. Again, this is a feature of the Dhamma. It's like it's so obvious when you get it that you wonder how you could be so stupid as to not get it. But then you do it again. Because these habits, right view has to be really established. And okay, these are unskillful, feels pressurized, feels disturbed, doesn't settle at all, withdraw. And you can even turn your attention to a more fulfilling theme, loving kindness, very obvious one. Remembering the modelling of others who've patiently borne with difficulties. Remembering the nature of the Dhamma, things pass and change. Lessening the sense of self involved with it. It's just this. And all these give rise to a weakening, the lessening of the power of unskillful conditions. And that's the function of mindfulness. So one makes an effort to keep that process going. There's a little couple of very brief summaries of some of this. This is from the 46th book of the Samyutta, Bojjhanga Samyutta number 3. Those bhikkhus who are accomplished in virtue, accomplished in concentration, accomplished in wisdom, accomplished in liberation, accomplished in the knowledge and vision of liberation, even the sight of these bhikkhus is helpful, let alone when listening to them, approaching them, attending them, even recollecting them. Because when one has heard the Dhamma from such bhikkhus, one dwells withdrawn by way of two kinds of withdrawal: withdrawal of body and withdrawal of mind. So your citta disengages from the topics that are oppressive or habitual or compulsive or identified with. Dwelling thus with, this is like just a stepping out. Doesn't mean repressing, just getting back, like a distancing. One recollects the Dhamma and thinks it over. When one withdraws, recollecting the Dhamma and thinking over, the enlightenment factor of mindfulness is aroused. On that occasion, the bhikkhu develops the enlightenment factor of mindfulness, and the enlightenment factor of mindfulness comes to fulfillment by development. So you're just there. Dwelling thus mindfully, he discriminates that Dhamma with wisdom, examines it, makes an investigation of it. In this way, the enlightenment factor of the discernment, discrimination of states, Dhamma Vijaya, comes to fulfillment. Let's look again at that little piece of the process. Here's another one of these sequences, and often these sequences, as I've mentioned, it's this process of skillful factors gradually building up and overflowing. So it's like often used as similes of water, like rivers becoming lakes, becoming oceans. And this is like a certain flow to it. Yeah. And here's one example of it, another example of it. The bhikkhu Kundalya, wanderer Kundalya, asks the Buddha, when developed and cultivated, what factors fulfill true knowledge and liberation? The 7 factors of enlightenment, Kundalya, fulfilled true knowledge and liberation. But Master Gotama, what things, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment? The 4 establishments of mindfulness, Kundalya, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment. But Master Gotama, what things, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the 4 establishments of mindfulness? The 3 kinds of good conduct, Kundalya. What do is an inquiring mind. Master Gotama, what things, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the 3 kinds of good conduct? Restraint of the sense faculties, Kundalya. When developed and cultivated, fulfill the 3 kinds of good conduct. And how, Kundalya, is restraint of the sense faculties developed and cultivated? Here, Kundalya, having seen an agreeable form with the eye, a bhikkhu does not long for it, become excited by it, or generate lust for it. His body is steady, and his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and well liberated. Having seen a disagreeable form with the eye, is not dismayed by it, disgusted by it, daunted nor dejected, without ill will. His body is steady, and his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and liberated. He goes through all the sense bases, including having cognized an agreeable mental phenomena with the mind, and a disagreeable mental phenomena with the mind. One is not dismayed, daunted or rejected, without ill will. His body is steady, his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and liberated. So this is the kind of crucial crux point whereby one is reviewing, this outflow of the, what I call leakage. So here we have eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Here mind is manas. It's the thinking mind, the one that brings up concepts and ideas and forms, where citta is more like the volitional energy form of the heart. So as we recognize, probably, we can close our eyes, we can close our ears, we can sit quietly, but you can't close the mind. So the mind keeps popping fantasies, phobias, wishes, rejections, grudges, problems, pop, pop, pop. And one gets dejected, dismayed, upset by it all, or craving, restless, and then there's withdrawal. The fact that one can do that, one can, that's that. Right view arise. Body is steady, mind is steady. Another very crucial piece of the Dhamma, how body and citta codepend. That is, when there is a withdrawal from sense consciousness, which includes the mind, thinking mind, then you both get it in your heart, feels, I've stepped back, and you get something in your body which feels balanced, steadied. Just as when you get agitated and worried, you get a crumpled, stirred up effect in your body. When you come clear, you get a firm, grounded, opened effect in the body. And it's this union of these two aspects of experience, the bodily or somatic, the internal body, and the citta, that give rise to the firmness, which bears fruit as samadhi. So that withdrawal from unskillful states, discrimination, recognizing what they are, whatever they are, the main thing is you can know them. And you can do that. Don't be dismayed. Or if you are dismayed, acknowledge that, but this is dismay. And then withdraw to the point which you can feel it in your body, a sense of I'm firm, I'm clear. That's that. Heart shifts. Notice the order. One's body is steadied, one's heart is steadied. Body creates, if you like, the gravitational force of energy. Energy swings, you can tip it through the body. And the body then holds the energy form to a degree. This is why, of course, for establishment of mindfulness, of which the preliminary one and the foundational one is the body. You staying within that, you've got a force of gravity that contains the shifting and the surging and the floundering of the heart when it's in its difficulties, and it amplifies, magnifies, and rejoices in qualities of the heart when they're beautiful and uplifting. And this is the key to full collectedness, right samadhi. The one that leads on to release. This is a feature of the Dhamma. And always, you're seeing always this process. It's always the four establishments of mindfulness. It's always the body walking, sitting, standing, reclining, breathing in, breathing out. These are not super refined. The aim being that you could keep this going for a waking day. And even perhaps into the night. You get some residual effect even when you lie down. You don't have to severely compress your attention. You gather it within this framework of the body, and the body acts like a kind of shield and a container for skillful energy. And this is where that transformation process of the energies becoming steadied, and then you get this suddenly overflows into happiness and release. So let's take our time for direct practice today, and we all know what we're doing, what we have to do, and the encouragement is to take the time, the opportunity to give ourselves the full benefit of rest, regeneration, and release.